You guys ready to talk about sex? That's what we're talking about today. My guest is a repeat guest. Her name is Dr. Maria Sophocles. She is freaking awesome. In the last episode that she was on, we talked all about perimenopause, menopause women, and what happens to you down there, and how it impacts your libido and hormones and all that kind of stuff. But today we're talking about her new book that comes out on February 10th, 2026. It's called The Bedroom Gap. And it's getting into, yes, these physiological aspects that contribute to libido, but so much more. This is much more than just a sexual health book in terms of physiology. She's getting into everything from sex ed and how that impact us to, internalized patriarchy, to porn, to infidelity, to surviving cancer, to poor communication. This book is about sex and what's going on in terms of this weird aspect of society where it's something that's really important to all of us, but yet we hardly ever talk about it. And man, this is just such an amazing conversation. I think you guys are going to really enjoy it. Let me tell you a little bit more about Dr. Sophocles. She's been a leader in women's healthcare for nearly 30 years, specializing in menopause management and female sexual health. She founded Women's Healthcare of Princeton, a progressive gynecology practice, and has been a visiting professor and NIH researcher in Switzerland. A board-certified OBGYN and Menopause Society Certified Practitioner, she has pioneered innovative treatments, including CO2 laser therapy for vaginal atrophy. She serves as CMO of EMBR Labs, Director of Women's Health Services for Curia Health, and is an advocate for women's health policy. Dr. Sophocles is also an author and frequent media contributor on women's health topics. Her TED Talk, What Happens to Sex in Midlife, has garnered over 1.2 million views in total, and her forthcoming book, The Bedroom Gap, which again comes out on February 10th, is available for pre-sale now. So you can go to Maria Sophocles. It's kind of like Socrates, right? But PH. MariaSophoclesMD.com. Put the link in the show notes there for that, and you can pre-order that. I said at the end of the episode, and I'll say it again in the beginning, I think this would be an amazing gift, or maybe something you could do with your sisters or your girlfriends or guys or whoever, little groups, and actually talk about stuff. Last thing is, she is currently working on a documentary about sex, menopause, and gender equality called Hot. Yeah, so she's freaking awesome. I love Dr. Sophocles. I hope you guys get a lot out of this episode. We are not holding back at all. We're talking very freely. So hope you guys enjoy. Here is Dr. Maria Sophocles. This episode is brought to you by Peluva. So Peluva, Peluva, those are Mark Sisson's new zero drop minimalist shoe with that distinctive 5-toe design. I have been loving them. I've been a longtime fan of barefoot shoes, and I was very resistant to the little 5-toe articulation personally at first, because just being real, I thought they looked really nerdy, and I was like, oh man, yeah, I love Mark so much, and I get what he's doing, but I'm not wearing those nerdy shoes. And then Brad Kearns, who's also involved with that project, was like, no, Tara, you got to try them. Tara, you got to try them. Tara, just come on, try them. And I tried them, and I kid you not, I enjoy them so much that I actually like how they look now. Weirdly, I can tell. So the purpose of that 5-toe articulation is so that your toes can move more dynamically. So with other barefoot shoes, I've been a long time fan of Vivos, and I'm still a big fan of Vivos, but they have just that big toe box, right? Which is awesome. So I didn't really feel like the 5-toe articulation was necessary, to be honest. But as I've worn them, I have experienced how awesome that is. It was actually been quite surprising for me. And I wore them this morning. I wear them all the time, and I'm really, really enjoying that freedom of movement of my toes. So, yeah, Brad and I have been going back and forth. I'm like, dude, I actually love them. And he offered to sponsor the podcast with Peluva and also offer you guys a 15% off code, which I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, I will gladly introduce my people to Peluva shoes. So you can use code Coach Tara at peluva.com, or you can just go to Peluva, Peluva.com. slash Coach Tara, and you can get that 15% off discount. Make sure you snag some of the socks while you're there because you're going to need the toe socks. Okay. All right, let's get into the episode. All right, Dr. Sophocles, we are going to talk about sex, baby. we are
Do it
going to
all day
get
long.
we're going to get banned on YouTube.
Hey, let's get band together.
But we're going to try anyway. Okay, so I'm so glad you have this book coming out on February 10th, right? Is the
Yes,
release official
February
release
10th.
date. The bedroom gap. And if you guys missed our last episode, Dr. Sophocles was talking all about what happens to us physiologically, women in midlife as and going through menopause and all of that, where you're talking, and that was such a powerful episode. And
Yeah.
today we're going to talk about, yes, some of that, but mostly how that impacts our sex lives, right?
Yeah.
And then a bunch of other things that impact our sex lives. And this is so needed. I'm fully aware as I've lived in a lot of different realities. I was raised LDS, and sex was very, don't talk about it, taboo. It was kind of, um, we would say we quote unquote knew it wasn't bad, but it was, and there were certain even things I was like, well, I shouldn't do that because that's bad, like with my husband, and that was not great. That was not great. Then I got out of that religion and, had to program my entire psyche around how I thought about my own sexuality and how I related to pleasure and my own pleasure and all of that. And it also made me very, very aware that most of the planet, I feel like, unless like your religion or something tells you not to when you actually listen, most of the planet is getting their sex ed from porn. I'm good.
Porn.
Where this is gonna get corn.
By
She goes,
far.
it's getting from porn. That's where the kids are learning how sex works because none of the adults are talking about it. It's
And
terrible.
the school systems say
Right.
abstinence, abstinence, abstinence. Just don't have it. And that just falls on deaf ears to a 15 to
It's
18.
ridiculous.
Like that's telling a priest not to pray, you know? I mean, they just
Right.
that's what they're going to do it. So they should be doing it with information, empowerment, and the idea of what we teach young people should last them for their lifetime, right?
Right.
Don't just teach a 15-year-old just don't have sex, and don't
Right.
even just teach them put a condom on every time. Teach them that sex with a partner involves pleasure for you and for that partner. And that
Mhm.
mutual pleasure is a goal, not just you do something until you ejaculate and then you fall asleep. I mean, that's just, and Hollywood unfortunately portrays things so
Right.
incorrectly. Number one, that women have orgasms from penis and vagina sex every single time within seven
Right.
seconds with their clothes on, standing outside a car. Like the
Right.
scenarios are just so silly that it makes people feel there's something wrong with them.
Mm-hmm.
Orgasm every time. If they don't orgasm from penis and vagina sex, like you're right, we're probably gonna be banned right away. But at least we
Yeah.
got these 3 minutes in, and I just want to clear that huge myth up right now that probably somewhere between 70 and 90% of women can only orgasm with clitoral stimulation, whether that's with a finger, a mouth, a shower head,
Mm.
whatever, or penis sort of angled a certain way. There's all kinds
Right.
of versions of it. But this whole moaning, screaming orgasm as some man is pumping inside you is very misleading, and it makes women feel they're broken and something's wrong with them. And I think, and when you combine that, like how Hollywood portrays sex, to what kids see on porn,
Mm-hmm.
often filmed by a male director for a male audience, um, and combine that with the lack of real good information we get from our parents, our church, our schools, all these other info, it's no wonder people kind of enter into sex thinking, I guess this is how it's done, but
Right.
they don't really talk to each other about it. That's what's crazy.
Right.
Is this
Right.
most intimate, private thing? People can be together for decades and just go through the programmed motions of what they think sex is supposed to be. So the book
Right.
talks a lot about communication with your partner, even communication in hookup sex. Like there's no judgment here. If you never have a partner and you are perpetually single and happy and sexually active, that's fine. If you're widowed and you want to self pleasure, that's fine. But
Mm-hmm.
if you have a partner, don't be afraid to communicate and to have that maybe first awkward conversation and say, I always do it in a positive way. I always tell people start positive. No one wants to feel judged or be embarrassed. And so I think setting the tone is important and starting with a compliment. I really loved how you stroked
Mm-hmm.
my hair for 10 full minutes before we got into bed. By the time I got into bed, I was actually really turned on. Or I loved that you
Mm-hmm.
gave me a back massage and we cuddled and then we went to sleep and we didn't have to have intercourse. It didn't feel so scripted. And if you can find the courage to say things like that, it tells your partner, sex does mean something to me. I'm not just doing this for you. I'm doing
Mm-hmm.
this because it's part of intimacy between us.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Yeah.
the book is like a little private guide to that for people who read it, to take away their shame and awkwardness and help them to understand where these feelings come from, right? History,
Mm-hmm.
patriarchy, porn, even
Mm-hmm.
pharma, big pharma in this country. The fact that we put Viagra out on shelves for men and men can get this and men can now have erections more regularly and more powerfully. And even if they
Mm-hmm.
don't have erectile dysfunction, men can get Viagra. And it leaves many women feeling really behind the eight ball and feeling this bedroom gap, this gap
Mm-hmm.
in
Mm-hmm.
expectations and abilities sexually. And that just widens in midlife as we go through
Mm-hmm.
menopause and parents age, kids' problems, money problems, work problems. People get into bed and their heads like ready to explode and they're tired.
Mm-hmm.
And they
Mm-hmm.
come in saying to me, I can't possibly think about sex. Like it's the last thing I want to think about. And I would argue that nope, when you're like that, that is exactly when you should put sex back into your life. Not unlike exercise, right? It's people who
Mm-hmm.
say, I don't have time to exercise. I got too many important things to do. Those are the people that need to put, 6:30 to 7:30 a.m. on their calendar as if it's a Zoom meeting and say, I am
Mm-hmm.
never missing this meeting,
Mm-hmm.
get the endorphins and the oxytocin and the dopamine
Mm-hmm.
release from exercise that then powers your attitude and your day, guess what? Sex does the same thing. It
Mm-hmm.
releases, when you orgasm, not that you have to orgasm, but it releases endorphins, it releases dopamine, it releases oxytocin. And by the way, you know what I learned that's so cool? You probably already know this, Tara. When you release oxytocin into your bloodstream, it actually helps muscles rebuild. So it actually
Mm-hmm.
fosters and helps your workouts be more productive. And it helps you as an older person not
Mm-hmm.
have muscle wasting, which happens, right? So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so being sexually active is actually part of a longevity plan,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, probably stating the obvious here, but when people get busy or depressed is when they cut sex out. And that's
Mm-hmm.
actually exactly when you need to put it back in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, coming from a religious background and not being religious anymore, one of the things that just honestly pisses me off so bad about religion is shaming people for
Yeah.
pleasuring
Every,
themselves. I
yeah.
find that to be criminal level mind control. And
Yeah.
yeah, if I piss off people, yeah, you're not going to listen. But those of you who have been down that path and
Well,
have lived that real experience, it is like heartbreaking. Like I tell my kids, I'm like, no one you can pleasure yourself. No one should ever
it's
tell
the
you
most
that
basic
how
thing.
you can and can't touch your own body.
Yeah.
Now porn is a whole nother conversation, and that doesn't need to be shamed either. That needs to be talked about in a safe place, in a
And
curious place of like,
yes.
how do we feel about this? How to
And
not.
looked at critically, like all porn isn't equal, right? There is porn
Hmm.
that's violent that teaches
Hmm.
men in particular that women like and are turned on by choking and violence. That porn is dangerous.
Totally.
There have been deaths and injuries from that. But
Hmm.
there is also porn that, and again, I think we should call it adult entertainment or something, some other thing, because porn
Hmm.
has such a horrible connotation that actually can teach you to open up your sexual repertoire in a healthy way, which is wonderful. Oh my gosh, I thought it was only missionary position. Oh,
Right.
I
I
can tell
never knew.
never knew. There can be porn that is helps you be turned on so that you can self-pleasure or be a better lover to your partner. There's porn for women, directed by women, that
Mhm.
is not so degrading. There's a famous porn director named Erica Lust, Lust, and she did a great TED Talk. You can look up TED Talk Erica Lust about sort of the porn industry and how what she calls big porn is sort of owned and governed by a few companies and all male owned, but she is trying to create films that women can look at and see themselves or get ideas. And that's wonderful. You can also go to omgyes.com. It's not a porn site. I'm pivoting now, but it's a site you pay like 25 bucks forever to join it, one-time fee, and then you can hear people saying, I had trouble with orgasm, then I learned this trick. I just angle this way and everything's
Mm-hmm.
things that you don't have anyone else to ask. You don't
Right.
have any other, and you can learn it privately yourself because people assume we just are going to know how to do sex when we get older.
Right.
And that's
Right.
just silly. I mean, that's
Mm-hmm.
so I think these resources are valuable. And I think the book is a valuable resource because it talks about taking away that shame. There's
Mm-hmm.
nothing wrong with not wanting penis and vagina sex. There's nothing wrong with wanting sex with someone of your same gender. There's nothing wrong with saying, I like this, but not that. What's wrong is to not communicate with a partner about it and just to deal with what we call duty sex, right? Or, where
Mm-hmm.
you're just going through the motions for someone else. You're going to never really enjoy sex that way. So
Mm-hmm.
I'd love women to start saying, sex can
Mm-hmm.
be for me. And
Mm-hmm.
I am going to talk about it. I'm going to say what I like.
Mm-hmm.
The LGBTQ community is, I think, better than the straight community at this. They
Mm-hmm.
ask for what they want. They say, what do you like? And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of my gay patients have told me that. And I've heard it so many times over 30 years that I believe it. And I
Mm-hmm.
think straight couples need to learn that sex doesn't have to be just what you saw in porn or what you saw in
Right.
Hollywood. So I think,
Yeah.
yeah, communication's key for that.
I want to hit a little bit on women. Um, this is something that comes up quite a bit in my coaching experience because we're combining the physiological, the health stuff with the mental, emotional life stuff. And so libido comes up a lot.
Mm.
And I'm consistently fascinated with, this is not just like religious women who have been taught that masturbation is bad and, all that. It's a lot of women. A lot of women are there's so many facets as to
Right.
why their libido is low that sure can be hormonal, can be a health thing, but it is definitely complex and there's a lot of aspects to it. And so you're hitting so many of those aspects in the book. Let's kind of just go down a rundown menu of what could possibly, if a woman listening to this specifically is like, yeah, I have zero libido. Let's go
Mhm.
down the rundown menu of all the many things that could be causing that.
Yep. So these are things that just get in the way of a woman's libido. Self-sabotage, meaning looking in the mirror and seeing that mole on your tummy or that fat on your inner thigh that you just think is awful and you don't find yourself attractive. You have to find the beauty in yourself. And rather than focus on what isn't right, focus on, my God, I am 48. I've had 3 kids. I've had a C-section. You know what? I live in a country, by the way, where portions are ginormous and it's very hard to eat well. And I'm in a car a lot or on Zoom meetings a lot. I'm trying my best. This is fine. You are attractive. If you need a piece of sexy lingerie to feel attractive, well, go buy it. We spend money on silly stuff. Buy whatever makes you feel your best.
Mm-hmm.
So I think self-sabotage is a big problem or self-image. Because guess what? Aging
Mm-hmm.
happens to all of us. And I really admire the Hollywood stars who are willing and encourage being photographed with no makeup because they're saying, look, that airbrush perfect me you see in Hollywood is airbrushed. It's actually not me. Because
Mm-hmm.
that's what you look like to your partner at 6 in the morning when he wakes up or she wakes up and looks over at you. And you want to be okay with that. You don't want to go,
Mm-hmm.
oh God, I don't have my makeup on. I think,
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing wrong with getting Botox, nothing wrong with wearing makeup or dyeing your hair. All that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But you want to also be comfortable in your own skin. The second thing is just the busy life thing. We lead lives of productivity over pleasure. So in the book, I say this, we prioritize productivity over pleasure. We like to get shit done. And we feel good when we do. And that's okay. That's okay. I like my to-do list too, but not at the sacrifice of pleasure. Don't be doing stuff from 6 a.m. till midnight, get into bed exhausted, wondering how you're going to keep living this life. Carve out time for relaxation, carve out time for pleasure, whether that's tennis or bowling or your book group or church group or exercise. I mean, you and I spoke earlier about just put the exercise on the calendar like it's a Zoom meeting. You can't miss it. And I would say the same for sex. It doesn't mean you have to always only schedule sex. I mean, spontaneous sex is wonderful, but carve out just even cuddle time. If you're not having sex and you want to have sex or you wish you could rebuild, start G-rated, right? Start with every Friday afternoon for 30 minutes. We're going to take our cell phones and put them in another room. We're going to sit together in an oversized chair and just cuddle and talk and laugh and don't talk about topics like politics or taxes or that.
Mm-hmm.
And remember how good it feels to be skin to skin,
Mm-hmm.
hand to hand, leg to leg. Silly, it doesn't have to be genital or anything. And just do that. And those little baby bits of erotic content, because make no mistake, there's a tiny bit of erotic content there, store in our brains like a savings account.
Mm-hmm.
The next thing you can do is build on that yourself with your partner, touching more erotic areas, or add to the erotic content going into your brain with books, videos, movies. There's a great app called Quinn. Women can just download Quinn, find a story that they like about whatever version of fantasy is kind of exciting to them, and do that at night for 10 minutes before you fall asleep.
That'll do it.
Well, you know why? Because then you put your head on your partner's shoulder and it just feels more sexy and more.
Yeah.
So that we call that bibliotherapy. And that's a good way to overcome that. My life is too busy with non-erotic stuff to do this. You can do that. I
Mhm.
think the other thing is hormones. This people know this, right? In
Mhm.
perimenopause, the hormones your ovaries make get a little inconsistent, like a roller coaster, sort of chaotic. And that chaos can make emotional fragility, right? Quick to tears, quick to anger, anxiety, depression. And even when we're fully menopausal, we might be a little more calm, but we often lack libido because the estrogen and testosterone just isn't getting to our brain. There just isn't enough of it to get to our brains. And
Mhm.
our brains actually need those sex steroid hormones. They do. And they need them for many reasons: memory recall, word recall, neurologic functioning. But they also need those hormones for libido. So that's why taking HRT after menopause is good for many, many things: bone, heart, brain, skin, hair, but also for libido.
Mhm.
And using estrogen and testosterone locally on the clitoris, the vagina, can actually really rehabilitate tissue
Mhm.
that's really suffering from fewer nerve endings, fewer blood vessels, collagen that's degrading, all the same stuff that you see, say, on your face as women age and they get wrinkles. That's from collagen breakdown. That happens genitally too.
Mhm.
So between busy life, self-image, and hormonal chaos, it's a lot. It's a big uphill climb to keep a
Mhm.
libido strong.
Mhm.
But I would say don't focus on, I gotta have sex or else I failed my partner. Focus on keeping erotic content in the brain, keeping your own self-worth happy, and carving out time. And even your bedroom. Make your bedroom a sacred place. I used to study under Dr. Ruth. Remember Dr. Ruth from a long time
Yeah.
ago? She was a mentor of mine.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she used to call me Maria. And she would say,
Mm.
Maria, the bedroom is for sex and sleep. And that's it. Meaning, don't bring your ironing in there. Don't bring your cell phone in there. You know that 35% of people check their cell phone immediately after sex. It's probably higher.
Wow.
And you know that 10% check their cell phone during sex?
No.
Yeah, this was just one
No.
study, but come
Oh, that
on, guys.
sucks.
How is your partner going to feel? How would that make you feel?
Oh,
Like,
and where are
oh
you
wow, the
at if you're
Patriots won. Oh cool, go Bears. Like talk about
Mhm.
feeling like not great. So comment. Well, you think I'm joking, but most of my patients tell me, no, my phone sits right next to my bed. It has to. My daughter could call me. Well, guess
Mhm.
what? Before the era of cell phones, if your daughter needed to call, she called on a phone, and it might not be in your bedroom, and it
Mhm.
doesn't have to be right next to you. Because even if you just hear a little ding, a chime, part of your brain is not focused on the wonderful feeling of being there now
Mhm.
and being in the moment. Part of your brain is like, I wonder what that little chime was. right? And for
Mm-hmm.
women to have sex, they really do need to be in the moment. They really,
Mm-hmm.
it's so contextual for them.
Yeah, and the many, one other thing, I'm sure you talk about this in the book, but another thing that's coming to mind for me is the quality of the relationship. If you're in a relationship in which you're being disrespected, invalidated, blown off, and then they expect you to have sex with them, you're not exactly going to feel like you want to be intimate with them. And unfortunately, we still live in an era, I think, in which there's like this expectation, and maybe this is a little bit more of the whole patriarchy conversation, because I mean, I'm sure there's some women like that too, I just don't know them, but I do hear this more often from, like, it's kind of like the man expects like that, and then she's like, I don't know what's wrong with me.
Yeah.
I was like this when I was like, I don't know what's wrong with me, I just don't have any libido. I look back now, I'm like, of course I didn't want to have sex with him. So,
And he
sorry,
wasn't
probably
giving you reason.
oversharing here, but
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
my reality.
No, that's very fair and very common. And I
Hmm.
see patients to say, well, sex is for him. I have to do it for him. Men have needs. So these phrases that have gotten passed down generation after generation. I mean, really, we need to dig a hole, write them on a piece of paper, push them in the hole, and cover it up with dirt. Sex is for all of us. Sex is
Hmm.
fun and sex is play. And as adult women, we deserve fun and play as much as a 15-year-old boy, a 20-year-old guy, a 40-year-old. We deserve sex as much as any man of any age or any woman. So I really resent when people assume that once you're menopausal, I guess you just are all dried up and you don't need sex. Actually, you need sex more. You need to be able to feel that you're still of value, and you need to be able to feel liberated, frankly.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
many older women actually have like a sexual renaissance. That's the cool news, is they're like, now I have sex. I'm divorced or I'm widowed or I'm single. I have sex when I want, with whom I want. And internet dating has actually helped make this possible. It's also a scary place for some women, right? They've
Hmm.
only had sex with one man for 30 years,
Hmm.
Friday night missionary position. And now they're internet dating and someone's asking them to do things they've never done before. So internet dating, double-edged sword, right? I think it
Hmm.
allows you to be exposed to different people and learn and pick and choose, but it
Hmm.
also can present newness that is unwelcome or frightening. And so I would say for women, don't do anything you don't want to do. Don't tell
Hmm.
someone just because they want to have anal sex. You're
Hmm.
you're fine when you're not fine. But do it if you want to. But
Hmm.
so I think internet dating, that we discussed that in the book too, is its own challenge of our times, and also it's been a wonderful way for people to meet. So it's both of those
Hmm. I'll share as somebody who has been divorced for a decade. I've had some relationships in between there. I had definitely had my dating the field time. I personally am not interested in dating apps anymore. And I'm not sexually active. I haven't been dating anybody for over a year and a half now. And if there's anybody listening in that boat, that it's not that there's no shame in it. I know I could go
things. Good.
date the
Yeah.
field and do all that. And I've done that before. And, but I'd say for me, I am keeping myself personally aligned in my journey right now for I want an ROI. I'm not interested in just dating or meeting people. Like, I want a partnership, right? So there's a lot of no's involved in that for me. It's just like, you don't seem like my life partner, so I'm not even going to go there. I don't care how cute you are or how turned on I am right now. I'm going to stay aligned. And I just bring this up because I have found that self pleasure is critical for health if
Yeah.
you are going to be going through a period of, what do they call that? What do they call that when you're not having sex forever? There's
Well,
some.
they say you're either in an asexual relationship or you're abstinent, by choice, or I think you're thinking of another word and I'm not sure.
I know, yeah. But anyway, all I'm saying is, like, looking into the health benefits, and maybe this goes for people too, that like your whatever situation of your marriage or your relationship, you guys, it's just not jiving.
Yeah.
Like, I think if you will actually look into the neurotransmitter benefits, you just listed a whole bunch, the oxytocin, the, serotonin, the dopamine, all of these endorphins, really good feel good chemicals, the stress relief, but also like for women, like just being so real, I don't want to like I want health down there. We need blood flow. I don't want like atrophy. I'm 43. Like it's also like a vaginal health thing for me too.
Well, masturbation, there's a wonderful article that came out this month in a medical journal called Menopause, which probably none of the listeners are reading, but I'm going to just paraphrase it so no one has to get it. But it looks at the health benefits of masturbation, and it's huge. The
Yeah.
health benefits masturbation brings blood flow to the organs that we need, honestly, just for overall health, not even just
Hmm.
sexual health. It kind of connects us to our body.
Hmm.
It releases all those good endorphins and everything we spoke about. And get this, it reduces menopausal symptoms. So that's kind of crazy. If you're having
Yes.
menopausal symptoms of hot flashes, anxiety, night sweats, they studied women with menopausal symptoms, half masturbated, half didn't, and the those who masturbated felt more in control of their symptoms, had fewer and milder symptoms. So there you go. I mean,
Hmm.
yet another.
Yeah. And okay, this is just a personal choice. No shame on anybody's choices. I have really sat with myself on how I feel about porn, and I personally don't like what it brings me. Maybe it's because I'm single and I already have a healthy libido, and I'm like more on the realm of like staying in, alignment and coherence with my life choices.
Mhm.
But I instead have found a lot more satisfaction or pleasure out of being able to turn myself on versus something extrinsic outside of me. So just throwing that out there in terms of like you were talking about women like self-sabotaging and only looking at the negative, like for especially women. I mean, I'm sure this can go for men too. It's just women have so much shame around their bodies and their sensuality. Like, if this isn't like completely adverse to your religious beliefs or whatever, and you're still hanging with us because you probably already turned it off if not, but
You are.
like being
Well,
able to,
I don't want us to crap on religion per se because anyone's allowed to be whatever religion helps them live their best life.
right.
But
All I'm saying is
what
I
you and
know
I don't like is the shame,
what
is
I'm saying. Yeah, what I'm
shame,
saying
right?
is
Is
I
shame.
don't
Yeah.
think I could have hung with this conversation when I was at
Yeah.
least in the religion I was in. I don't know. Maybe other people can. So good on you. But all I'm saying is being able to turn yourself on. You have to see the sexiness in you to get there. You have to build that relationship with yourself internally to be able to get there. It's kind of a cool self connecting process, and so I
Totally,
recommend it.
totally. And I love that you are. I can't tell you, thank you for being like a disciple. I feel like brainwash, but I don't have to brainwash you. You really believe all this. It's wonderful. And it's not to brainwash, it's to educate. But
Mhm.
I think the other thing to talk about is something called the orgasm gap, which people have heard of.
Yeah.
People know there's an orgasm gap between men and women, right? And that is not new news. What they don't know, I bet a lot of your listeners don't know, is there's an orgasm gap just for women between getting to orgasm from masturbation and getting to orgasm from having sex with a male. And having sex with a male reduces your likelihood of having an orgasm by a lot compared to self-pleasure and
Mm.
compared to having sex with a female. Women who have sex with other women orgasm much more easily, and
Makes
women
sense.
who self-pleasure
Uh-huh.
orgasm from masturbation much more easily. So as soon as you add a penis into the picture, things get more bleak. I hate to say,
Mm.
but that's another reason to self-pleasure, to understand your body and know
Hmm.
that what gives you pleasure. It actually makes you more likely to orgasm with a partner because you can say,
Hmm.
that doesn't really work for me, but it does. Da 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 da. And
Yeah.
way partners love that. They love it
Right.
when you
Right.
help them be a better lover. Any partner that's offended by that, oh my God, they're just not very evolved, and you need to ditch them or talk to them. Talk to them. Say, you know what? If we're gonna have a good long sexual relationship, which I'd like to, I want to be able to tell you what doesn't feel great.
Right.
Say it's not that you're not a great lover. It's that you can't know that, like,
Right.
my ear bothers me. I'm sure
Right.
maybe you had a girlfriend who loved it, but I don't. And you have to be able to say it in a kind way, and always couch it with a compliment. But I love the way you rub my back. I love it.
Right.
It relaxes me after a long day of work, but guess what? It turns me on also. I mean, stuff like
Hmm.
that is is nourishment for a
Hmm.
relationship.
Yeah, it's gotta be a communication thing, right? And it's so sad because it's like, well, I don't want to hurt their feelings. Well, guess what? Like men for sure feel good about themselves when you orgasm.
You're happy. Yeah.
And when you're never orgasming, they're not, no one's talking about it apparently, but he's not going to feel great about that. It's
No,
not going to
you're
be
making him feel worse. And then
right.
he starts wondering if there's something wrong with you. And then you feel
And
bad. And
him.
he feels bad. And
Exactly.
right? It's like,
Mhm.
and I talk about this in my TED talk too, when women go through menopause and they don't have as many blood vessels down there, they cannot get wet even if they're turned on. So the moisture is less, which is like it's almost like having a limp penis. It's like your partner's like, huh, she's not wet, she's not wet, she's not turned on. You feel bad, then he feels bad, then you feel bad that he feels bad. And it's
Mhm.
just, there's no way around it and you can't fake it. So
Mhm.
that's why it is good whether you're going to use vaginal estrogen or get a
Mhm.
laser treatment or there's a oral medication that actually promotes vaginal health. It's called Osphena. It's prescription. Whatever flavor you choose to
Mhm.
rehabilitate the vaginal tissue, it's usually like mid 50s that women start coming into my office really noticing it. There's like a
Okay.
5 year lag from menopause happened, no period for a year, to they show up at my office going, it feels like the Sahara Desert in there. So the
Mhm.
smart women come earlier and go, it's still okay, maybe getting a
Mhm.
little dry. Start now,
Mhm.
now. And you can use those products forever. I mean, they're crazy safe and they're safe for women, whether they've had breast cancer or not. They're safe. We
Mhm.
lots of studies showing that. I
Nice.
personally think like the government should probably mail every woman at age 50 a tube of vaginal estrogen for free every year. It would keep us out of the emergency rooms with urinary tract infections because it actually helps the bladder. It would
Mhm.
keep us sexually vibrant, and it would lower healthcare costs and improve relationships. So that's my political platform that I'll never really have. But free vaginal estrogen for every woman. I'd probably get
Yeah.
half the vote. So anyway.
I think it's so I love how many facets you're hitting on this all the way from physiological and obviously you guys if you didn't listen to our last episode like you really went in depth about what happens to women's the vagina, the vulva, everything and the hormones at play and all of that. So if you want to go deeper on that, listen to our last episode and obviously you can get the book and hit on all these other things because I told Maria before we started I'm like, okay, how much are you hitting on like the mental, emotional, mindset, relationship piece? And you're like, all of it. It's all in here. You even have stuff for like, was there infidelity? How does that impact the sex life? And cancer survivors. Can you talk about some of the other issues in terms of
Yeah,
sex, the bedroom gap, the
because
book?
everyone isn't the Hollywood couple you see on TV and they had a fight or they had infidelity and then they meet at a park and look in each other's eyes and the next thing you know they're like having great sex and saying how
Oh
did
my
we
God.
ever, and then it flashes forward and they're 50 years later. Like in real life people have heart attacks, people have hip replacements, people have cancer. And
Mhm.
they say, oh my God, this is the end of my sex life. And doctors, shame on us. We think, look, my job's to treat your cancer. My job's to make sure you don't get
Mhm.
another heart attack. And I'm not saying that's wrong. It's great to focus on that. But they
Mhm.
very rarely sit down and say, now you might be wondering how you're going to stay sexually active after this
Mhm.
cancer or this heart attack. And they should. It doesn't have to be a long discussion, but they have to acknowledge that many people are afraid to have sex again, or it's painful and they don't
Right.
know how. And that
Right.
it's absolutely possible. And actually, those are the patients who should be having sex. If you have a double mastectomy from breast cancer, you are feeling so crappy about yourself as a woman. You feel like you've lost, you don't even look like a woman anymore. And to just think as a doctor, well, I helped her, I got rid of the cancer, you're missing the grieving that she's doing,
Mhm.
loss and change in her body, and the fact that she probably doesn't want anyone to even see her, much less touch her chest. So those things have to be addressed.
Mhm.
And it may need a therapist. It may need good quality thinking about, do I get breast reconstruction? It may need just good speaking with your partner and saying, it's okay to touch my scar. It's okay. It doesn't hurt. I've had patients tell me that they thought that um, after cancer, their partners thought they couldn't have sex with them ever again because they could reignite the cancer somehow. Like a woman who had cervical cancer, her partner, after she had her hysterectomy and all this surgery and radiation, and things were very different down there. And she said, my partner doesn't want to touch me because he's afraid if he has sex, it's going to somehow start up cancer cells. It's not a crazy idea.
Oh.
You get so worried.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, but I wish he would because I need to feel that I'm still desirable to him. So
Mm.
again, she was communicating with me what she couldn't say to her partner. So so we had
Encouraged her to
yeah,
communicate.
exactly. We did a little walkthrough. Like I pretended to be the
Mm-hmm.
partner and I actually asked her to practice with me. Well,
Mm-hmm.
if you don't have an appointment with me, you can talk to a mirror or your best friend and
Mm-hmm.
say, I really do want to have sex and I can. You might say, I can't like that anymore because that position hurts, but I can like this. Or I can't have
Mm-hmm.
penetrative sex anymore, but I love oral sex and I still want us to do that. So these are hard, awkward things, but the autistic community are so negatively judged. Like who we have patients who are, well, we have studies that show that doctors judge autistic patients as sort of asexual. They kind of are like, I'll take your blood pressure, I'll make sure your blood pressure is okay, I'll do the pap smear, but they never talk to them about, they don't view them as sexual beings.
Wow.
Handicapped people often. They just assume sex is like off for you. That is so naive and
Wow.
wrong. And it
Right.
means people are actually being denied proper care of how it's appropriate for a doctor to say, are you sexually active and is it comfortable? That only takes like 5 seconds.
Right.
Most don't because they're embarrassed or awkward or weren't trained. And people don't feel like they can ask. They can't get the courage up to ask and say, I'm struggling with this or that. So the book talks a lot about that. And I think those people
Mm.
deserve some pages in this book too.
Nice. Yeah, you hit all sorts of different aspects of this bedroom gap. Amazing.
Well, it's kind of universal. I mean, if you think about it, you
Yeah.
can have a bedroom gap, meaning the two people in the bed feel differently or are thinking different things. You can have it in your 20s, to your 90s. You really can. But I think in midlife is where the cracks start to happen. And
Hmm.
if there's not good communication, people start to feel broken or the relationship takes a hit. The most common times for infidelity are sort of that 50 to 60 age range.
Really?
And it coincides with when women
Mm.
vaginally start having dryness, lack of libido.
Mm.
They may turn away from sex. And if they
Mm.
don't have good communication in the relationship, that's when their partner may go looking elsewhere.
Mm.
Sex. So,
Any, let's give a little empathy to the men, right? Because,
yeah,
like, I
please, for
imagine,
sure.
I'm not going through this change, and now all of a sudden, my partner doesn't, she doesn't ever want to have sex. She doesn't feel good about herself. And, like, cool, like, what am I supposed to do? Like, a little empathy for the men. And do you have any counsel for them?
For sure, that they should try to learn and try to communicate. It's okay to say, to show that you don't know anything about menopause or that you don't even know if she's in menopause. It's okay. You might get a snippy answer because your partner's frustrated. Like, how could you not know? I'm sweating every night. I kick the covers off it to him. How, on what, someone might give you that snippy answer. You just need to take it. You need to take it and say, I know I should be a little more tuned in, but say, I don't have ovaries or uterus, so I can't feel this. And say, I know that might make me less able to really understand what you're going through, but I'd like to partner with you in this. I'd like you to share with me. I don't mind. Complain away. It'll help me learn. And then we can learn together. When I do lectures, sometimes I'll see men in the audience and I literally call them out. And I'm like, you guys are awesome for being
Mhm.
here and sitting here on a Tuesday night or a Saturday morning learning about menopause. And the men who come up to me after those lectures say, thank you so much. We feel this is helping our marriage get better to be able to go through this together.
Oh,
So I encourage men. I mean, I think this book, I think mostly women will buy it, but I think men would really benefit from reading it. They will feel so
yeah.
much more clued in and
Hmm.
so much more willing to have the conversation, even to start it.
Mm-hmm.
Who says women have to start it? So that's why I think the TED community wanted it as a TED Talk because they felt there was a universality to it.
Mm-hmm.
All this happens, the bedroom gap happens in every country, every religion, you know, black, white, brown,
Mm-hmm.
Muslim, Christian, Jewish,
Mm-hmm.
all bedroom gaps.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a universality to it. So men are included in that group and
Right.
they're having their own health issues sometimes, and they're
Right.
shamed and awkward and feel broken sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And if they do, same thing. They should, women, their female partners should say, hey, I'd love to support you in this. Do you want to take Viagra? Do you want to just go talk to a doctor? Do you want me to come with you? Silly, simple things like that can make you feel understood and supported.
Yeah, I think I have had a couple of men confide in me that they feel a tremendous amount of pressure, probably from porn or, the dating lifestyle to like be good at sex, right? Like they have to be like good at it or whatever. And, I just say like women have their own set of pressures, men have their own set of pressures, but I feel like the healthiest sex is when you're connected. When all you care more about, well, you care about yourself too, but you really care about the other person and you can create that safety. You can talk, like there's no pressure to be a certain way as I'm in this with you. And as you said, like those men coming to the menopause talks and things, like
Right.
it can be so beautiful for your relationship to just be in it together like that, and probably, for most women, I would say that would probably be create the highest likelihood of her wanting to have sex with you
Yeah, yeah.
because you're actually
Well,
emotionally supporting her.
we spoke earlier about using masturbation to have blood flow, and we talked about sex as part of overall health. And I lecture a lot on sex and sexual health and longevity. And when we really, if you want the real mic drop moment about it, it's actually not how often you have sex or how many orgasms you have. The part of a sex life that helps us with longevity the most is not anatomic or physiologic. It's connectivity, it's intimacy and affection. So, couples who build intimacy and affection have less loneliness in life. Sex is less of a chore and more of part of maintaining intimacy and affection. So, if I can give everybody one bit of advice for how sex and having and maintaining a sex life can help you live a long, healthy life and flourish as a human, it's that if you can build intimacy with something, which is what you were saying about you don't want to just hook up sex or to date some hot guy. You want someone with whom you can build intimacy and affection, really time.
Yes. Yes.
And that's the key because that's what leads to partnership that
Right.
kind of carries you through those decades.
hmm Yeah. Wow. Well,
Mic drop.
thank you so much for writing this book and being a voice for it. It's so needed. I can't even tell you how many women behind the scenes, like I'm having them read like, Pussy, a reclamation. Like now I'm gonna have them read this. Like it's like we need a lot of support on this because you're right. Like we are still in a era in which people don't even want to talk about it. And the literal only place they're getting any information is like Cosmo or porn, you know? It's like, hey, maybe we conscious enough that we can just actually talk about reality or no? Yes. Okay. So thank you for being willing to be one of those people because it's just like, come on, it's so needed. It's a real issue that a lot of people are dealing with, and
It's
there's
something
very
we
little
all
support.
do, and it should be
Right.
mandatory education and not
Yes.
mandatory reading. Because I think this book, like I said, young people could read this and say, okay, I
hmm
understand what could happen to me in 20, 30 years. And I understand that I want to start from now, prioritizing sex in my life and mutual pleasure, that every partner
hmm
I have, whether it's short term or long term, I'm going to make sure that I understand what he or she likes. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to make sure if I'm not really sure of my own body, I'm going to learn my body. I'm going to learn to self pleasure. These are
Right.
basic things. Like we should be teaching people this young. Actually,
Yeah.
they do in Holland. The Dutch have very
Mhm.
different sex ed, and it's very pleasure based. It's very about mutual pleasure. And when you look at Dutch sexual patterns, they have a much lower rate of unplanned pregnancy because kids know about birth control. They all use it. They wait to have sex until it's a relationship they're interested in. It's very interesting. And
Imagine
I
that.
think it all stems from this really good sex ed, real,
Wow.
not cool.
That is so cool. Yeah, because that was the part when we were talking about teenagers. Is like, what about the part where we talk about like how that impacts you from a relational standpoint? Like I look at my job as a mom as more of a mentor, right? Like I'm a human that dropped in ahead of you. Here's some stuff I learned. How do
I
you
love it.
feel about it? These are some things other people say. What do you think? You know, it's very like that. And
Right?
that leaves them in a place there's so much less stress and pressure and it's a safe place to talk about things. And I actually do really appreciate their viewpoints too, you know? And so it's just that's what I'm hearing from that Holland. It's like they're looking at it as more like, hey, actually being like a mentor, like, hey, here's some good information for you to consider. You know,
Yeah.
here's some stuff to think about.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the worst thing you can do is put out this I know it all and you don't judgmenty kind of attitude.
Right.
Because if you
Shame.
feel judged, then they're going to feel shameful if they have to tell you something that they don't think you'll approve of, whether it's, I know I'm only 16, but I hooked up with someone, or
Yeah.
I am, I, I think I'm gay, but or I am gay, but I didn't want to tell you because you're always talking about
Right.
women and I that's not how I see myself, so many people
Mm-hmm.
I think start in their home feeling
Mm-hmm.
judged, and it can
Mm-hmm.
happen without us meaning to. It can happen as parents, just in the way we talk about sex, either that it's dirty or
Mm-hmm.
shameful or assuming it's heterosexual sex. Imagine
Mm-hmm.
how hard that is if you're a gay teenager to hear your dad talk about, oh, the hot woman and da da da, you should date her or whatever. It's like you feel like now I can't tell him,
Mm-hmm.
or a judgmental, often religious informed thing of, well, we just don't do that. You know that sex only happens after marriage. Of course.
Mm-hmm.
You say it like that, and then how is someone supposed to say, I actually
Right.
need birth control because I'm having sex?
Right.
I think when parents put this judgmental tone forward, or that there's only one right answer or right way, it shuts out the dialogue,
Mm-hmm.
and then it stunts our growth sexually.
Mm-hmm.
We're,
Yeah. And
this
I
isn't.
don't think we recognize sometimes how much we're doing that. Sometimes my kids have had to call me out on stuff like that. They're like, I don't feel comfortable talking to you about blah 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 because I'm like, oh shit, thank you for telling me that. I did.
I wish
Whoa.
more kids would say that. I think kids just roll their eyes and walk away. Like,
Mm,
and I think it's good that they're telling you, they're giving you a
mm-hmm,
wonderful insight into how you can do better, because we all can do better.
mm-hmm,
All
mm-hmm,
guilty. I've done this with my kids too, where
mm-hmm,
I know they have felt judgment. In a way, it's
mm-hmm,
hard for them because I'm a doctor. I think they think, oh God, she thinks she knows all the answers. And the truth is, I learn from my kids. They're awesome.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I love my kids will ask me some crazy health question. I'm like, no idea. I have
Yeah.
no idea. I have no idea.
Really.
But I feel good about it because I feel like I'm like modeling, like it's okay to like not know everything.
Yeah, vulnerability for sure.
Yeah.
It's so great. Really appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah.
And
Thank you so much.
yeah, so the book comes out February 10th. So
Hmm.
this launches around then. That's great.
It'll come out just a little before. So can they pre-order the book?
Yes, they can pre-order the book. They can pre-order it if you go to mariasophoclesmd.com. They can find ways to pre-order. If you just go on Amazon and type in The Bedroom Gap or
Mhm.
Maria Sophocles, it'll come up and it'll be shipped to you. And I really think people are going to love some of the messaging and feel it's almost like a private way to feel heard and understood, or to get questions answered that you may not have even thought you needed to ask. So.
Awesome. Awesome. Great book. This would be a great book for like your girlfriends too. You know what I mean? Like a
Totally.
gift.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
book group. I have a woman I know, she bought 30 of them for the women in her very large kind of book group
Hmm.
community, and they're all going to
Hmm.
do a group read, which will be really neat, I think, because it'll
Super
foster
cool.
discussion. The
Right.
discussion we kind of wish we could have, we'll have it. You can use the book group as sort of an excuse to do that. And by the way, if you think there's a woman in the book group that maybe would feel awkward or whatever, she's the one who needs this the most, the
Hmm.
one who needs to be able to say, well, I never talk about this. I don't know. And she can just
Hmm.
listen, but she will eventually be drawn in and share, because they always do.
That is awesome. All right. Well, we'll put that link in the show notes, both the Maria Sophocles MD and also the Amazon. So they can find it either way. And yeah, I guess we'll wrap it up from here. Thank you so much, Maria.
Sarah, it was so great to talk to you again. I just love talking with you, and I
Likewise.
wish you all the best.
Thanks. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of the Inside Out Health Podcast. I hope it's been helpful to you in your journey. If you think that it might be helpful to someone you know, please share it with them. Please share on social media. It really helps me grow the show and reach more people with these amazing messages. And if you could be so kind as to rate the show and possibly even leave me a review, that really helps. So much thanks in advance if you do that. And yeah, please subscribe if you want to hear more of this type of content. I have lots of amazing expert guests on the way. All right. Thank you.